a macabre verse of madness.
Greetings and hello. This is DUI Macabro, still suffering from second-degree burns because of the hot glue, and enjoying Psychobabble. Yes, Psychobabble Live. They're doing their Halloween thing. I put some headphones on so I can hear them. You cannot, but I wasn't sure I was going to be able to get to this project. I had 3 big projects. 4. I had 3, but then another one came along. Halloween projects for this year. One was the Jason mask, which I got to. Indeed, I was able to make those Jason masks and pump those out. The other one I wasn't sure I was going to get to, but I wanted to get to, was making a Necronomicon. Yes, indeed. I have in mind to make the Necronomicon from Evil Dead remake. You see, that thing. I must admit, it doesn't look quite as good as the one from the original one. I really like the one from the original one, the one with the face. So that's my favorite one, so that's why I made that one first. This one, quite frankly, kind of looks like the Hocus Pocus book. It's just missing the eye and the snake things. But for me, that will be beneficial, because I already made a Hocus Pocus book. So the basic concept is the same. I just have to implement that on another book without the eye and the thingies that it's got. So this is my template. Indeed. Just basic cardboard. You could use a cereal box. You could use any sort of box. At least that's my method. I've seen people do it with, they go to a thrift store, buy a book, and then use some latex, what have you. But again, I'm a budget guy. I don't have access to latex or Warbler or 3D printers. I make my stuff on the super cheap. And I'm going to guide you through it. So yes, just get any cardboard box that you have. And the Necronomicon in the remake has this pattern, like, it's supposed to be skin bound together. So I just took the pattern and made my own pattern. So yes, tried to get it as accurate to the screen grab as I could. And I went through that movie again. I watched it, and I do not remember seeing the back. So I just made the same similar pattern for the back, and then the way that this will work is that I can just close it like that. Bam. And what I usually do is that I get a notebook or a notepad or what have you, and then just glue it here. So I'm going to take you through the basic process. I'll cut along a few segments so as to not to bore you. But yes, just grab your box, if you will. You can also do it through the book, but I prefer doing it through a separate box, because that way I can put it on whatever the heck I want. So yes, just grab a box, draw your pattern, and what I'm going to do is, because I don't want to lose this as I do the skin, is I'm going to take more hot glue and burn my fingers even more. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace the scarring like so. So I'm going to do one line like so, and then another one line like so. So I'll have this part in the middle that I need to do the stitching. So yes, that's what I'm going to do, and let's see how that looks. Okay, and we're back. Something to keep in mind when you're working with glues or paints or what have you. Try to do it in a well-ventilated area. Much like the Baby Circus project that I did and showed before, when I'm using a lot of hot glue or glues or paints or anything, I couldn't do it in the movie room for 2 reasons. One is because the movie room is a small area, and I don't have that good ventilation over there. And 2, the movie room with all the DVDs and all the stuff that I have is a fire hazard. So if I drop the hot glue and start a fire, well, I'm pretty much fucked. But here in the living room, I have a couple of ventilators. I can open the window and I can ventilate stuff. And I have the house to myself, so no risk of hurting other people. So yes, always do all your DUI projects in a well-ventilated area, or use a respirator if you're using some really toxic stuff. But yes, DUI Macabro suggests you do it in a well-ventilated area, because toxic fumes are not fun. No. One time, I can tell you stories on. One time I didn't heed that 2 words. But, yes, what I wanted to do, what I did, is that I went through all the lines that I drew with hot glue. I went through all the lines, and the reason for this is that I wanted to get some crevices here. So, when I add my skin, the crevices will be there, and then I can do the stitching, and it'll look pretty cool. Again, this is something that I've done with the first Necronomicon I did, and with the Hocus Pocus book. So once I add the layers of skin, this thing will hide, and I'll have the crevices, and then I can stitch it up. How does DUI Macabro make his bound skin? Well, super easy. All I do is take glue. You can use Mod Podge, or you can use that white glue that you would have from school. Usually that white glue from school is pretty watered down, so that works pretty good. Mod Podge the same, but if you have a stronger sort of glue, just add a little water to get it nice and liquidy, so it's not too thick. You don't want something too thick, but you also don't want something too liquidy. And you get a bunch of tissue papers. These things, particularly these kinds of tissue papers, is what you want to get. So this is what you need. It's a nice big volume of tissue. So you get more tissue for your buck. It's nice and thick, so you don't need too many layers to do it. And basically what you do is that you put your layer here, and then just glob it with the glue. Just get it nice and wet, and it'll become transparent, and it will stick to your book cover or your cover that you're going to make. You do this with, I do it with about 3 layers, and then I let it dry. I let it dry, and then do another 3 layers, so you get a nice effect. And with the glue, this thing will crumble up, and it'll shrink, and it'll create all these really cool crevices that the first Necronomicon I did has, and Sanderson's Sister Spellbook also has. So yes, you just literally just put this on top of your working area, and then just glob it with glue. Get a nice cover all over the place. Now, another thing, this particular box that I got has a little extra here. But one thing I've learned is that when you're making your books, it's always recommended to add a little extra layer of skin, so that you have a little bit of extra to glue on the binder of your book or whatever you're going to use. So always go a little extra, like so. So you have that little bit of extra material so that you can glue and bind your book. So what I'm going to do is, because this is a whole mess and I need both hands to work, is that I'm going to ladder this up, add some more napkins, like so, and then just let it dry for a bit. So stay tuned for seeing how that looks. So, still watching Psychobabble. Really good show. If you don't follow Psychobabble at Terrence McGuana's channel, definitely check it out. He has a good panel, and really good hosts and guests, so check Psychobabble out. So, this is basically what it looks like with the first layer of the tissue paper and the diluted glue. It actually turned out a lot more thicker. I need to add more water because since these napkins are a lot thicker, it does take more product to get it nice and wet and malleable. But as you can see, doing it this way, I found, is the best way to do it because you get all these little wrinkles that work to make it look like dried skin. So yes, you do still have to press it because I do sometimes get air bubbles, which sometimes I leave because they work to my favor, and sometimes I don't like how bubbly it is. So like this bubble, damn you, go down. So I might have to add more glue to weigh that down, but sometimes I do leave it, and so it looks like it's expanding. But yes, I hope the camera is picking it up, but you really can see the texture of how it's looking. That's how I got the look for the first Necronomicon and the Sanderson book. This is the method that I like using because it gives me that texture. So the next thing that I need to do is wait for this thing to dry. I need to put this, well, it's already night right now, so I can't put it under the sun, which is what I prefer to do. So I'll just leave it in the ventilator and let it dry, because I do need this to dry before I put the last layer of skin. And then what's going to happen is that I'm going to paint it black. I'm going to paint it all black. So that all the paint gets in all the crevices and makes it look cool. And then I need to get the right color of, because the Necronomicon, the first Necronomicon that I have, even the Sanderson books, have different colors between each other. And the Necronomicon from the remake also has its own different color. So yes, it's something that I have to do. But I'll let this dry before I give it the second coat of skin before I paint it black. So stay tuned for that. And we're done. Indeed. I already went through the painting process, having painted it black. I wanted to keep the stitches a little red and bloodied, and so I painted that. Then I went over a couple of coats of a mixture of brown and red to make it look a little skin tone, and then I went through it. I whitewashed it again with a little bit of black, so you would have some black in the crevices. And then again, very lightly airbrushed it with a bit of brown, a lighter brown, so that I have all these textures of reddish and black and brown. It still turned out a lot darker, a lot more darker than I originally wanted. In the movie it looks a little lighter, but I don't know if the camera's gonna pick it up. But I do like how it looks. I might very gently go at it again with some brown, a lighter brown, just to make it pop a little more. And for the stitches, I could have stitched it, of course, but I just used that 3D paint. That I have a 3D paint, and you can buy it at any craft store. And then you just put lines over it, and it dries up, and it looks like stitches. This is, again, the same thing I did with the Sanderson Sister Hocus Pocus book. I just used some of that 3D paint. But that one I used green, and this one I used black, because in the movie it looks black. So, yes, there we go. We have the Necronomicon Ex Mortis from the Evil Dead remake cover, you see. Now all I have to do is bind it to a book, and it is done. But yes, that was the procedure of how I go about making my Necronomicon and spell books that are bound in skin. You, again, get a lot of really nice textures and wrinkles and everything, doing it with the glue and the paper towels, and then using different layers of paint to make the highlights pop out. But I hope this tutorial helped out. If you want to make your own book and you want to do it on the cheap, I do also, one of the other projects that I mentioned that I wanted to do was do this Necronomicon and the one from Evil Dead Rise. But, and that one's easier because it's just a book with veins. The only thing I was questioning how I could do would be the teeth. But, again, I don't think I'll be able to do that before Halloween. So, at least my Necronomicon Ex Mortis from Evil Dead now has its sister, the one from the remake, and eventually, somewhere down the line, I would like, again, to get to work on the one from Evil Dead Rise. But that will be for another occasion. For now, this has been DUI Macabro, thanking you for watching this process of making the Evil Dead remake Necronomicon, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep on building.